Last week, at the end of last week, I prepared what I'm calling the first pass of the financials for the month of December, which is also our year end. We are at year end, and the percentages that we're going to compare to are 100%. It's obvious. The notes are going to be brief because I'm still in process, and I will get to that in a minute. Motor vehicle income came in the year for $2.644 million, which is $85,000 above budget, which is the target, and $157,000 ahead of last year. We had a good year. The other major contributors to the total income of $6.774 million were building permits at 232, State of New Hampshire at $1.2 million, Department of Income 629, parking lots 377, another banner year, rental of town property 386, and real estate trust at 502. That 502 number will get bigger. I received the last transfer from the real estate trust, and I'm booking it. It's a 12 number that I'm receiving 13, but I'm going to book it back. I checked with the auditors, and they do want me to do that. So there'll be additional monies there. So once again, just an example of the numbers are still moving. Expense summary. At the end of December, the operating departments without debt service were at 97.5%. And when I do the calculations, I'm taking the prior year encumbrances, adding to the budget. That's what I consider to be the base number to play with, which is 2.5% below the target of 100. However, when you modify this with the effect of the open POs, the year-end savings, which everybody's been watching all year, is now earned expended by $32,000. You had $24 million, and we have $32,000 left, and I'm not done spending. Percentage of the annual budget we've expended is 99.85%. This was unexpected. I expected to have at least a couple $100,000, and as I will get into in a minute, I think the differential is the amount of the open POs at the end of 12 compared to 11 is $200,000 higher, which, when you do the calculations, is really what's generating the drop from where I expected to be. However, there is $129,000 worth of grant expense, and this is an allowable. This can be added to the budgeted figure, so therefore we really have $150-something thousand that we're still in the positive. We will not go negative, but it's probably the closest I ever want to be again. That said, 13 is going to be a tough year. During the next 2 weeks, these financials will continue to be reviewed and adjusted. This is also done in preparation for the audit fieldwork, which is scheduled to be starting February 11th. Auditors were here today for a one-day review of controls, and that went quite well. They were hoping to stay another day, but they got double booked, so they will not be with us tomorrow. Please note, there's a second analysis that was passed out. It's a spreadsheet along with some backup information showing the major items being encumbered being covered by purchase orders, along with a copy of the outstanding open 2012 purchase order listing. This too is subject to review by the departments and will be adjusted as necessary. When we did one final accounts payable run last Monday, that's what generated this list. This has not gone back out to the department. So there's things in it that I know probably will be taken down, potentially something from IT, something from Public Works. I think the chemicals is still high. So those things should flush out. So if you reduce the open POs, you will reduce or actually increase the spread. That said, I wanted to request permission to open a 2012 PO for the amount of $14,350. This is to update the code book that's been written, and this was quoted back. We have an email several months ago, specifically August, and Mr. Welch asked me to put this in, get the PO cut, and it was my failure to bring this through that it would have and should have been on this open PO list. It was my error, and I apologize, and I'm requesting permission from the board to basically generate a 12 PO for the amount of $14,350 to cover the code book that would be processed through in 13. Those are the big highlights. On the POs, I put the highlighted items. If you look, of the 312,000, I've highlighted out of the 500,000 that's out there. $140,000 deals with the Lafayette Road Winnicott intersection. There's $100,000 opened up for potential sewer work, and the $41,000 for the engineering. That is the continuation of the $48,000 PO that was open in 11, actually. We spent some, so there's $41,000 left. That's just a carryover. One of the things I didn't see coming was the repair of the wastewater treatment plant roof. That's $40,000. But what I'm saying is these are all legitimate. These are not Christmas items. These are things that we needed to get done. And I open for comments.
For Mr. Schwotzer. Mr. Pierce.
Yes, I have several questions. And thank you, Mike. Great report, and I appreciate all your efforts. And I'm surprised we were sitting at about 300,000. We're down to 38,000. That sort of got my attention. And I was looking through this nice handout, and there's quite a bit of activity there in the end of December. Quite a few things I'll get to later. Just going through this, I sort of like to jump on 16 of 16 because it's sort of like a grand summary. And I have a significant problem here with a couple of issues. If you look at public safety, police department is $28,000 in the hole.
And once again, I point towards the grant accounts. And so the grant account in the police department, $17,000 of that $28,000. I additionally point to the PO listing with the $30,000 worth of maintenance. We had that $19,000 for the roof, the cooling system. There was an emergency repair, or I think it's $10,000 without looking at it quickly, $10,000 for a new fence. So there's, to me, a minimalist number that is going under. We knew that there would be positives and negatives throughout this report. And when we were working towards the end of the year, I was reviewing all the POs against their budgets and also against the bottom line, so that when we issued or allowed a PO to be cut, I was going to Mr. Welch, and we were agreeing with those at that time.
Well, I have a little problem with that because I was under the impression, or I think it's more or less the guideline, that we, when there's a shift of monies from one department in the budget to another department, we have to have some kind of a...
I don't really consider this a shift of money. I'm not asking for funding to be moved to it. I'm saying that he overspent his budget by a slight amount.
Yeah.
And I know I'm bending the English language a little bit. But in essence, the reason I'm here tonight is really to talk bottom line. And you're right, there are going to be departments. And then there's, in the financial administration, there's $56,000 that didn't get spent. And then in another one in legal, there's $81,000 that didn't get spent.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what I'm saying is I recognize these going forward, and so therefore I knew that I had room to allow what I considered to be major expenses, but really necessary expenses to happen during the month of December.
I can't argue with anything you're saying, but I have a little problem with, there seems to be a sort of a consistent situation here. We have it in the police department, we have it in the building and code inspection.
That building code inspection, that is the new truck that you allowed. If you took the truck out, he would have actually been under by $700.
Okay, and then that gives us a subtotal of $31,000. If you go on down, if you look at highway, streets, and municipal sanitation, now we're at $125,000 on
and I've pointed out to you that $141,000 belongs to the Lafayette Road Winnicott.
Okay, we might as well go ahead and hit that right now while we're here.
Sure.
I was noticing that you're saying that there's $100,000 in this breakdown